A couple of months ago, I decided to move 12,000 kilometers away to receive among the highest quality of education in the world from East China Normal University in Shanghai. I have been very fortunate to meet many wonderful scholars, people in my community, and I've had so many incredible experiences traveling around China. But to be candid for a moment, I want to say that I think the most interesting thing that happens when I talk to Chinese people that I meet here is when I tell them that I'm an American Marxist. There's like this look of shock and their head turns like this every time. But I always respond by saying, how can I not be? I think in the West, Xi Jinping, the governance of China, has not been looked at enough. And the consequences of this have been disastrous for advancing our struggles. While in my time in the US, I came to understand Marxism based on my own past and our history. Xi Jinping thought on socialism with Chinese characteristics for a new era, and its implementation, though, it represents Marxism's future. It opened my eyes and so cogently pressed and systematized the experiences and lessons I had gained in years of organizing, in the trade unions and in student struggles. My favorite of his articles presented in the latest volume was on the United Front and the Six Musts: the supremacy of the people, self-consciousness and self-sufficiency, integrity and innovation, and having a problem-solving orientation, both holistic and systematic modes of thinking, and cherishing the world, are revolutionary in thought, but they are insurmountable when I've seen it in practice. Back in the United States, most people don't know this, but there are millions of people in my own community who needlessly suffer the burden of long hours, low wages, a lack of health insurance even, who fork over most of their paycheck to pay rent, people who reside in massive debt, and whose children go hungry and can't get the care and education that they deserve. All not mentioning the intensified state violence against those standing up for their rights. The violence of poverty against undocumented immigrants and Black people, and the colonial violence my country has perpetrated within its own borders and around the world. For me personally, though, it is unconscionable that one could know and see this every single day and do nothing. I actually dropped out of my undergraduate studies for this reason, to join a labor union. I used the knowledge from every book and class I was fortunate enough to have access to for my coworkers. We met, we had barbecues, we organized a free carpooling and medical clinic program, and eventually when times got tough enough, we went on strike. We struggled. And we won raises, free child care, and the best healthcare plan in the entire service industry. But you want to know what brought me the most joy? It was the faces of the people when they felt just that much more able to be human, to be free. I had to come back to school after an injury while I was organizing, but my overall point is this. The politics that really matters does not just happen in boardrooms, parliaments, and office buildings. It is the struggle that exists all around us. I learned from my experiences that the word political in political science is not a passive term. If we are political scientists, our job is not to understand political science, political theory in the abstract, but it is to study political science in order to put the people first. And that's why I began to study dialectical materialism. I saw Marx, Lenin, Mao Zedong, Deng Xiaoping, all the way up until President Xi as pioneers in the unity of theory in practice. In reading Xi Jinping, The Governance of China, but most especially in the latest volume, it almost made me feel that my many failures and mistakes in organizing in the United States could have all been averted had I just paid more attention to the theoretical developments coming from Beijing. The culmination of the decades of New China's practice and 5,000 years of successive civilization here. And as technologically advanced as China is, so too is its governance and ideological development. There is just so much to share, but just an even greater amount to see when you're here. President Xi's 6 musts, and this isn't focused on enough, but it can just be seen at every level of society. In the richest country in the world, I didn't see one city not organized around the auto industry. I didn't see one hospital organized for health rather than profit. One housing complex not used for speculation. And national officials concerned with anything but their donors and re-election. Here, everything is turned on its head. The people here, unlike black and impoverished nations in the United States, do not fear the police. Instead, the police are core to the community and conflict resolution. At work, the people have power and financial security guaranteed. City and village communities do not bend, deregulate, and impoverish their own people to the needs of investors like American cities do, but instead own and lease land for both jobs and economic development. As a result, you get a country whose people are rich, whose cities are beautiful, let alone livable, a country whose successive generations live better than the next, whose government has a harmonious and symbiotic relationship with its people. For those of us without a communist party in power, the United Front article was incredibly useful. I interpreted President Xi's view as an understanding that every person has their own place in the movement to make our lives better and more harmonious with nature. In the US, nearly half of Americans don't participate, and they are only allowed by the ruling class 1 day of democratic input, voting between 2 political parties that ultimately serve only 1% of the people behind closed doors. But in China, it's a whole process, people's democracy, where at all levels democratic input and participation flourish within a wide variety of mass and party organizations. They include consult and collaborate to ensure that all of the people are served. The Communist Party leads, but builds its consensus with the non-CPC political parties and organizations. President Xi, in the book, highlights the need for national unity across all 56 diverse ethnic identities in China. This philosophy pushed forward the revolution and development in China, from 1921 through the qualitative leap of the seizure of state power in 1949, to the reform and opening up, and to finally the beautiful and prosperous country that China is making today. This method and outlook presented in Xi Jinping Thought on Socialism with Chinese Characteristics for a New Era and its results in every corner of China show one fact: Marxism works. Revolution is not a moment, but it's a process. Marxism is a living science that can be adapted to any material condition. And this is borne out through the history of New China. And to achieve the change we need in our home countries, we gotta learn from China. From China, we Marxists can see what is truly possible and finally catch up. From the City Brain Project in Hangzhou to the development of the National People's Political Consultative Conference system to the ecological civilization being constructed before our very eyes. Every day, as the story goes, more stones are dug up and the 2 mountains are finally removed. I heard my whole life that the United States was the beacon of the free world. While the US cultivated this as its image, though, freedom itself was always just a slogan, but never an actual political project. The greatest realization I have made in my brief time in discovering China and the wide implementations of Xi Jinping Thought on Socialism with Chinese Characteristics for a New Era is that freedom is being made real. Every new bridge, every new job, every community art project, every new technology, and every new tree planted is not being developed blindly for profit, but Marxism and Xi Jinping Thought on Socialism with Chinese Characteristics for a New Era synthesize and lead the brilliant minds and China's labor force to put the people first. Freedom is every moment of greater convenience, every hour not mired in poverty, the easing of transportation, every breath of fresh air, and the greater ability to fulfill one's dreams at the expense of no other. That is not only the beauty, but the science of the Chinese dream that I see every single day. China makes me proud to be a freedom-loving socialist and gives me the hope that all nations can learn from its path, not only towards their own projects of national rejuvenation, but to blossoming into a country that humanity itself can be proud of.